The ego does not want an end to its problems because they are part of its identity. If no one will listen to my sad story, I can tell it to myself in my head over and over and feel sorry for myself. And so have an identity as someone who is being treated unfairly by life or other people, fate or God. It gives definition to my self-image, makes me into someone, and that is all that matters to the ego. This is Earth here with some new content for you. I wanted to make this video about an experience I had. I believe it was last year. I received a call from my brother, and he was wanting me to go see this movie called Baby Driver with him and my dad. All three of us hadn't hung out in a while, so I decided that I would go see this movie with them. So I met up with my brother and my dad, and we went to go see this movie. Before I get into the movie, let me tell you that my dad and my brother are two very egotistical people. I, on the other hand, am not. The movie was focused on this guy who helped drive bank robbers to and away from robberies. But in a more deep view, this guy was basically the coolest dude I've ever seen in my life. He had sort of a bad boy attitude to him. He was just a flat-out badass. If you've seen the movie, you definitely know what I'm talking about. The guy has a few music scores in the movie where he dances around town, and while he's doing the music scores, he's doing the most slick things to objects around him. You really just have to see the movie to know what I'm talking about. When the movie ended, we left the movies, and my dad's, my brother's, and even my own ego was out of whack. I started having these thoughts about wanting to be just like this guy from the movie. This movie had put some false ideas about how I should be in my mind, and I started to feel almost bad about myself. This went on for only about a day, until I realized what this movie did to me, and I was kind of taken aback. This was a movie, not real life. Nobody could be this fucking cool all day every day, and if they were, they would come home every day out of breath from being such a hard ass all the time. A few days went by, and I started to think about it less, until I started noticing a difference in my brother. I noticed he had been walking around singing the songs from the movie, and doing the same hard-ass moves the main character in Baby Driver had been doing. I looked over and said, "Dude, you are fucking Baby Driver." He said, "What?" all confused. And I said, "You're trying to act just like Baby Driver." At first, for like 2 seconds, he was confused, and then a smile came over his face, and he said this time, "What?" as he realized what was going on inside of him, just like myself. Yeah, this was blowing my mind at this point, now realizing that I was not the only person affected this way by this movie. I think we are living in an extremely egotistical time period in the world today. People seem like they have become living, breathing, walking, and talking egos. Not much care for anyone but themselves. Not to go without saying there are tons of good people in the world. This reminds me of something I hear people say a lot, and that is, "I hate people." My response to that is, what a miserable person you must be. Everyone cares what others think of them to varying degrees, It feels good to be accepted by others and to have friends. I think it's essential to our happiness. We as humans, though, do have the tendency to make everything about ourselves. For example, I can't tell you how many times I've been around a group of people when discovering someone we know has died or some other tragedy strikes. I'll usually hear something like, "Wow, I can't believe it, I just saw him a week ago." And then someone else will chime in and say something like, "I know, right? I saw him like 3 days ago." It seems like a good portion of communication is just one-upping. Ever since I became aware of it a few years ago, I've even had to watch myself participating in it as well. I've caught myself in scenarios where it's usually when I'm conversating with someone I don't know, and I'll sort of become defensive if they tell me a story that I find really interesting. And I've gotten better at it, but sometimes in the moment, I'll say something to top their story, and usually later hate myself for it. But back to the subject of egos. You can see how people's egos have become also a part of their physical appearance as well. The guys with half their head shaved, and the way they walk through a public area like they own the fucking place. I'm not saying it's not important to love yourself and think highly of yourself. Just be a little bit more original. But then again, nothing of me is original. I am the combined effort of everyone I've known. It's a good quote there. Plagiarized that shit. These people have obviously seen these behaviors from others and wanted to be the same way. So they basically have copied these behaviors. It seems to me like it's all based on impressing others. Maybe some of them are naturally like this. Doubt it. After my experience with the movie and how it put an idea in my head that I needed to be more like this guy from the movie, I think it happens to more people than we could possibly imagine. I'll end with this. Whether you try too hard to fit in or you try too hard to stand out, it is of your equal consequence you exhaust your significance. This is Earth. I will be back with more content. Thank you.